and then we'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay. I'm Bob Morgan, and I've lived in Frankton all my life. In fact, I only lived 3 houses where I was born. I was born up here on Sigler Street, and I live on Fletcher Street, right down by the courthouse, on the east side of the road. And when I was growing, after I was born up there, well, my folks moved downtown here, just a block down the street here on the corner. And I used to come in this building all the time. Benny Morris owned it, and they had apartments up above it. It was a livery stable. And I'd come down here, and back here, there was a fence all around where this parking lot is. They had chickens and all kinds of animals in there. And so you want me to go ahead and just go on, or?
Well, let's have Irene.
I've lived here for, since
52.
52, yeah. And I was married to Bob for 70 years. I'm 89, I'll be 90 in February. And just,
How many children do you have?
I have 3 children.
Did you say that? I didn't
Yeah.
know.
No, I don't think that's.
This is our youngest,
Okay, hi,
Joni. And,
What's their names and ages now?
Dennis,
Your-
Dennis
your-
Morgan, he
You had a
lives,
son, Dennis?
67, yes,
yeah,
67.
he's 67
Yeah.
and Brenda's 65,
65.
yeah.
I mentioned that Brenda was in Spain, right? Coming
Yeah.
back tomorrow.
Yes,
So,
I
Good
just
for
talked
her.
to her a little bit ago there in Buffalo, New York, about halfway, so they'll be in sometime tomorrow afternoon.
You grew up in Elwood, didn't you?
what?
Yeah, well,
You grew up in Elwood.
Yes.
I know Brenda wrote a book.
Yeah, she did.
What was your name before you was married?
Long, yeah.
Cool.
Well, now, wasn't Brenda a librarian at Madison Grant? Was she?
Yes,
She was.
And language arts?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes, and
Yes.
she did write a book.
She did.
I
Yes,
can think about
yes.
your family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically
She's done
on
lots of things.
mother.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, on your mom.
It's great. It's like from the viewpoint of a child, like
Oh.
would have been her mom's viewpoint. It's good.
Can you tell us a little bit about the town back when you were a boy?
Well, like I said, I used to come down here all the time, because I lived a block away, and the lady that was here, she was kind of scary. I was young, and I was a little scared, but I'd still come down here, because they had horses in here and everything. But starting right over here behind the Christian church on that side of the alley, on the east side of the alley, there was a blacksmith shop there, but it wasn't in operation. It closed up then. And then the Methodist church was
Do you
right-
remember the name of the blacksmith shop? Do you remember the name of it?
No, I
Okay.
don't remember.
All right.
And of course, the Methodist church sat right here on this corner.
Yeah.
And there was a shell station over here on that corner. And then back here, the big building on the corner where they're putting apartments, that was a recreational hall. And we'd go in there, and they had shuffleboard like on the floor. And they had dart games, and we built model airplanes and stuff like that.
Cool.
And right across the street was, of course, they had an old building there. Well, it ended up as a Boy Scout building later, but it was just an old house set there, a little house. And then they had, the next building was Leo McLean, had a pool and card parlor. And the next building was Jess Lane, had a paint shop. And the next building was Cleaners. Bob Shaw and his wife Doris had that. And then next to that, Harry Diltz had a shoe shop. He repaired shoes and put soles on, like that. And across the street, over here, on this side of they had a printing press. Pete Meredith had that. I don't know where anybody remembers that.
I remember him.
And then next door Bub Hurst had a grocery store, and then the Legion had a place, or had their upstairs. That was 1947 when they formed, and I joined when I was in Korea. Well, my dad signed me up for the Legion then, and I've belonged over there about, well, it'll be 70 years next year. I'm the oldest member right now over there.
Cool.
And then next door was the tavern, and it used to be called Turtle Inn. Ed Thomas had it. It started out because they served turtles and turtle soup all the time. That was our main.
Probably caught down here at Frankton.
Yeah. And
Do you know about what year that would have been?
it was in the 40s.
In the 40s?
40s. And and then right across the alley, Bill Fessler had his hardware store, him and Ida, and his boy got killed in the Second World War in Burma in an airplane went down.
Who was that?
Bill Fessler and Ida
Oh, Bill
Fessler.
Kessler, yes.
And then the Masonic Hall was there, and then the post office was right there on the other side of Masonic Hall. And years ago, and then before it moved around and where it's at now.
Yeah,
That's, when I was a little kid, that's where it was.
I'll be darned.
And then Braddock's Restaurants was there.
On the corner.
Yeah, his Braddock's Restaurant run right along, kind of, there with the railroad
Yeah.
track there and everything. There's been a lot of cars hit and stuff parked there. At one time, a Pepsi truck parked there and left part of it out on the railroad track. Come through there was glass over this thing. And then, right across the street, there was a bank building. It wasn't open no then. But later, it was a barber shop. Excuse me. And then, across the street, Art Jackley, he had a grocery store there. I knowed him real well, knowed his daughters Louise and June and Phyllis.
I'm his granddaughter.
You're his granddaughter. Yeah, you live out in the big house.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know them real well. Then, of course, he moved to Elwood,
Yeah,
and then Bowers got it.
Right.
But then you go on down, was Laughlin's Cannon Factory down in the west end of town.
what was the name of it?
Laughlin's Cannon Factory.
Laughlin's?
Yeah.
Never
Roy
heard of that
Laughlin.
one.
And I used to work there in the
Now,
summertime,
where was that at?
where that factory is down there, or where they
Oh,
work.
yeah,
Right
sawmill?
Yeah.
Okay.
And right across from, and then, I worked with, German soldiers. They was a prisoners of war. The prisoner of war camp was up at Elwood where the high school's at now. It was all fenced in. Of course, they had guards and everything, and we used to get out and work in the field. We went right with them, but we was in like the same field. But like I said, they had the guards. And then, come right across the street from the cannon factory, Ernie Braddock had a sawmill. And he's the one that built these log houses around here.
Is he?
Yeah.
I wondered about that.
And when me and Irene, when I come back from Korea, me and Irene rented one of them off of Robert Lee. He was a principal here at Frankton. And we paid $35 a month rent. And
We
when
had a
we-
hard time getting that too.
and when we built our house, we got a loan off the building loan down here. We had to pay $90. I said, I'll never make it.
Oh, we remortgaged.
And we mortgaged it. Well, anyway, we got paid for it. Let's see, where was that? Harold Hayes had a filling station right on the corner there, right across from Jackley's. And then on down, there was another blacksmith shop, and I'm saying, seemed to me like Tristle owned that, but I'm not sure on it, so. And then John Frank had the big lumberyard down there on the corner where it's all bare ground down there now. Well, it's for
Where
sale.
Sprague was,
Huh?
where George Sprague.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they was really busy back then in the days, them days. And then you come back up this way, well, Holland, Wilbur and Holland elevator. And it burnt one night, a big fire. It was, everybody in Frankton was out there seeing that people got loud fires. They was all out in their night clothes and we stood right in front of Jackley's, I remember, right, standing there watching that fire. And then you gotta come on down the road there from where I'm Braddock's restaurant. Ed Deaton had a barber shop there. And then, right behind here, right on the corner where the police station is, Doc Harold, he was a veterinarian. It was a nice big home there and it had a wrought iron fence all the way around it. And, so, that's, then right across the street used to be a DX station with the glass pumps and everything. And Harold Wiggins had that. And then right on the corner was a drugstore. And Minnie Solomon owned that and her husband. And Bob Ludlow, I don't know where anybody remembers him.
Yeah.
He worked there for years. And well, he was a town clerk too.
Was he a pharmacist too? Ludlow?
I'm really not sure. I don't think he was, but he could have been. But, and then right across the street used to be Hollingsworth's grocery store. And then building alone was there, and Harper's Furniture Store, and then Frank Webb had a barber shop, and then on the other side of that, Pete Hurst had a grocery store. It's right on the alley there. And
There was a restaurant in there last one time. Well, Jack had the barber shop on the restaurant in there.
Jack, yeah.
Melon.
Melon.
No, down that next to Harper's down there.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a restaurant there.
yeah. And then, there's like I said, Pete Hurst was right on the alley there. And then, across the street, Shorty Neffel, that filling station, it's, well, so, I don't know who owns it now, somebody owns it there.
Which filling station, was that the one across from, next to Harper's there?
Yeah,
Okay.
right across there.
Yeah, that one over there.
Yeah. And just on the other side of the drugstore down here, they used to have a tennis court and croquet court. And a lot of the men, they got their own handles and they fixed them and everything. They had tournaments down there and everything. And then, like I said, they had lights. And and then,
Somebody told me that my uncle, Mary Jeanette Jackley's husband, Wayne Jones,
yeah, Wayne.
helped start that
Yeah.
tennis court,
Yeah.
or helped build it or whatever.
Yeah, I knew Wayne real well. Well, in fact, I used to go to his house. Well, Dick used to
Yeah.
play together and
Yeah.
stuff. Then, I'm trying to think if I know that.
How about Bill Spoo?
Well, Bill Speaker, now, that station there where, Shorty Neff had it. Yeah.
And then Hamby owns it now.
Who owns it?
Gary Hamby.
Oh, I didn't know it.
Was Smitty's there then?
Pure Oil Station?
Yes.
Yeah, I worked there at Pure Oil Station one time, and I worked at Delco Remy and at someplace else I worked. I had 3 jobs trying to make everything.
Trying to make that $90
Yeah, I'm trying to make that $90
Didn't have any left?
Not much.
Then, though, they raised our rent to $45, we thought that
Yeah,
we couldn't
yeah,
make it.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
$25 to $45, I mean, that was terrible.
And they used to, right where we rented that log house, they used to have free shows there years ago.
Yeah, I
And they'd
remember
have that
that.
packed, people come down from Elwood and everything, and had a big screen set down, you sit up on that kind of the hill and.
Yeah, where the
down
fire
there.
station.
Well, where the fire station's at now.
Big telephone poles, remember?
Yeah,
2 great big old
Yeah.
telephone poles. I used to go there when I was a kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And, And the depot, I used to go in the depot all the time. A guy by the name of Griffith, he run it and was in charge of it, and I can't remember. I don't think the train stopped. I can't remember what he did, but it closed up there not too long. And but he used to rent off of Raymond King that had the funeral home down here. They had apartments upstairs. But Griffith was his name, and I can't remember his first name.
You worked at the funeral home too, didn't you?
Yeah, I worked for Raymond King's funeral home when I was in school.
What did you do?
I just went with him to pick up bodies and
Okay.
stuff. And which at one time I thought about being a funeral home. And I changed my mind there.
I'm glad.
So,
Griffey's name was Albert.
Albert,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
I couldn't remember it either, and I knew it as well as my own.
yeah. And, and then, of course, there was Juan's Cannon Factory on up where the Little League Diamond is now. And they used to have Russ's dad had a grocery and
Where?
gas station up in the East End. In fact, I think he was the last one that had it.
Yeah.
They closed. And then where Thomas's greenhouse used to be up there, on back down towards the creek, Hughes Curry had a butchering shop back there, slaughterhouse.
Hughes who?
Hughes Curry from.
Curry?
Hughes Curry.
Addie mentioned that back several months ago, or maybe a couple of years,
Yeah.
about that butcher
Yeah, it's
shop.
back here, yeah.
Place is for sale now.
No, which building is it? I'm not sure.
Well, you know where Hudson's lived? Right
Yeah,
across
it's
from
up for sale
Curtis.
right now.
Huh?
It's up for sale right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it that brick house or?
No,
That was it. They had a canning factory in there at one time.
yeah.
Holman's lived there too, didn't they?
You know, I'm not sure.
Who'd you say? Holders?
Holman's.
Oh,
Yeah, they had two daughters. One of them married John Lehman.
Oh,
Remember that?
yeah, I think I do now.
Yeah.
Is that the building where Rex Kirby had a machine shop?
Yeah,
That's
well,
where the butcher shop was.
Where the butcher shop
yeah,
was?
yeah, it was back
Okay.
in, it was back in behind that little house.
Right. Yeah,
I think there's a pond back in there or something.
there was, yeah.
Yeah, cause Rex's dad built the pond.
Yeah.
I was good friends with Marcia,
Oh.
Rex's sister.
Oh.
And I remember when Kermit built that pond, but he kept saying it had a leak in it. I don't know, somehow the water would disappear.
Yeah,
So you spend a lot of your Fridays and Saturday nights running over to Elwood, right?
yeah. I used to go to Williams, I liked their hamburgers, them onion burgers they had.
Still do? I do.
So what, as a boy, what did you do for recreation?
Went down to the creek and we had a swimming hole down there and we built diving boards and everything down there. And we camped down there, built lean-tos and camped.
What was that?
Back then, there wasn't a whole lot to do. I'll tell you, John Frank had owned a lumberyard. His daughter graduated with me. She's passed away though. But
Pauline? Was that
Mary
his
Lou,
dog?
Mary
Oh,
Lou.
Okay.
And he had a cement swimming pool in ground. And I don't ever remember anybody having a swimming pool in ground back then. That was in the 40s. And I used to go up there and swim and everything, but
Really?
besides the creek.
You didn't smoke cigarettes down there at the creek when you was young, did you?
Well, probably did. Probably slipped some way.
You said
So-
there wasn't too much to do, but by the time you got your work done, you didn't
Yeah,
have it.
yeah, I had to mow my yard, or mow my dad and mom's yard and stuff like that with a hand mower, no motor.
Was the elevator at that time there and
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
big?
yeah, farmer's elevator was there. Yep. I remember Ray Hayes, he worked over there. There used to be a lot of rats in that over there. When they tore that down, man, they was going everywhere. People get in there and shoot them.
Didn't you guys get hit by
Dale
the
Flint
train?
worked over
Oh,
there,
yeah.
didn't he? Dale Swain,
I don't know where.
I think he did there before they closed.
Yeah, we got hit by the train when I was about, right here, just, the crossing there by the post office.
Just,
And I was really young, I can't remember, 3 or 4 years old. But a friend of my folks, their daughter got killed or something, she died or something. And I was supposed to be one of the flower boys to go and with a funeral, and that's where we were going. No, wait, I don't remember that. I don't know where we was going there then or not. Anyway, we got hit with the train. I was right there, and it tore the front end of our car off. My dad had an Essex, and it spun us around there by the post office, and nobody got hurt, only my grandmother. They knocked all of her teeth out. She was in the back seat, and I was too, and that's the only thing that hurt. But tore up the car pretty
That was
good.
lucky. Wow.
But there've been a lot of them hit there.
Yeah.
I've always been infatuated by the swimming hole, the old
Oh, yeah.
swimming
Yeah.
hole. Because I've heard Betty Paddock talk about the swimming hole right back here. And,
My
how,
mom did too.
I guess hordes of kids would go back
Oh.
there and swim, but how deep was it?
It wasn't that deep.
Oh, it
Probably-
wasn't?
Probably,
Oh.
maybe. It might have been places, holes where it was over your head, but
Okay.
not that.
Now, when I was a kid, the swimming hole was down by the railroad trestle.
Oh, yeah.
No, I never did swim in it, but I remember a lot of kids go down there and swim.
Yeah, we used to go down there and fish and everything, catch a lot of fish back then.
Well, I remember my dad would take us down here when they had the beautiful weeping willow trees by Pike Creek. And we had bamboo poles.
Yeah.
But we would catch, I especially remember sunfish. Dad always called them sunfish.
Yeah.
And we caught nice fish.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we took them home and ate them. I can't remember, was the sewage disposal plant there
No.
in the early 50s?
No,
Mm,
no.
yeah.
Everybody had their own.
This
uh,
sewage plant went in, what, 65?
Probably.
That's when they
okay.
tore the streets and everything up,
Exactly.
65, I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
Everybody had the outside toilets.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
remember
yeah, all
that.
the- down every alley was a barn, and Frankton, right there, down the alley was a barn and an outside privet.
We played ball down there, baseball, that's where the ball diamonds were then when I played.
The little league in Babe Ruth was down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I managed Little League for several years. Yeah, it's really been a nice town to live in. I've really enjoyed it all my life. Everybody's nice. It's just,
Was your swimming hole, was that right there at the kind of the bend in the creek?
yeah, right.
Cause I grew up right beside the city garage,
Oh.
and I played in the same
Yeah.
swimming hole. Yeah, I know exactly where it was at.
And they ice skated.
And we ice skated in the
down
winter
there.
and
I
swam
even
in
did
the,
that.
yeah.
I fished down there when I was pregnant.
For which one?
First one?
The first, yeah, Dennis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I love to fish,
Oh, yes.
but, and then so I had to clean them because he would throw them back. So I learned how to clean them, so I did that.
Nothing any better than fried bluegill and
Oh,
crappie.
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
crappie down here.
No.
but The old bluegill.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What do you remember that went on at up at the lodge? Do you remember any activities that went on above the,
Oh, the Oddfellows Lodge?
yeah, I know, that's what I'm
No, I
trying to
don't.
think. That was
We
before?
bought that off of them when they kind of fell out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the lodge. And the American Legion bought that then. And of course, it's a big dance floor there.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, my wife was up on the stage. She was the first queen of the American Legion.
Oh, cool.
1968.
Oh, wow.
That was an old movie theater up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have, I don't know how you, big screens that they fold down, and they've got writing all over and pictures, it's all there, and they're still up there, I think. That they, when they had.
Had
that.
business of the town painted on it, everything.
Yeah. And I'm
What on
pretty
it?
sure it's still up there.
What's on there? What was painted on?
They got a big, like a big curtain down, it's got different businesses here in Frankton,
Yeah.
up there, they've got their advertisement on
Oh,
Yeah.
Where is that?
Up, the American Legion, up
Upstairs.
the top
Upstairs.
floor.
On the top floor?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Do they still use that top floor?
sometimes they.
I know they used to have dances up
Yeah.
there when I first got out of the service and
I think
everything.
it's full of bats now.
I don't know.
If they've still got that screen, that might be something
Yeah, they could probably get it,
That-
need it.
We could photograph.
for the
Yeah.
historical.
Yeah. I'll tell you who the commander is
Kevin Adams.
Kevin Adams. He lives right up on Secret Street.
You know him real well, don't you, Jerry?
Huh?
You know him real well.
My grandson.
Oh, yeah.
Step grandson.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah,
there you
that's
go.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you compared Frankton then, earlier with Frankton now, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think they've improved, really. I mean, it's, they're getting more things going on in Frankton and, back then it just wasn't a whole lot going on.
And more businesses back then.
Yeah, there's more businesses, but it just, everybody kind of stayed there pretty self mostly. And where now everybody's kind of outgoing and more,
Now, what year did you graduate, Bob?
1950.
Well, growing up in Frankton, I remember so much, people would sit on their porch
Mhm.
all over town in the evening, and they would visit. Neighbors would go over and sit down and visit, and sometimes they truly would stand at the fences
Yeah,
and would visit back and forth. Now, I'm not sure that goes on a lot
no,
anymore.
they just, like you say, they don't visit us like then, but
Well,
I
I
know.
think air conditioning done that part.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Everybody stayed in off the porch because they had air conditioning.
Yeah.
I can
We were not
remember
running.
the people that lived across the street from Holt Weaver and his wife, and he'd always come out of an evening, he'd always light his pipe up and sit out there and smoke his pipe on the porch.
Do
People
you,
don't neighbor now like they did
No.
years ago.
No,
do you remember who the lady was that was the operator at the telephone
yeah,
exchange?
Bessie, she lived right up here, well, the house is torn down now.
Oh,
Bessie.
It wasn't Bessie Branch, was it?
No, Bessie, I would say. Shoot.
You'll think of it.
Yeah, you'll think of it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting old.
That couldn't be it.
The one at the telephone office next to Kirkhoff's house over there on.
No, it's right down here, right here on the alley, right here on the alley.
There was, they had something over there to do with the telephone.
Yeah, that was the first telephone company.
Yeah, because the wires are still in the
In
stairway.
the upstairs, yeah.
Oh,
Well, Lois Fight, I remember, worked at the telephone
yeah,
company.
yeah, I remember her, yeah.
Do you know what brought your family to Frankton? Your would have been your grandparents that built the
Oh.
house down here, or?
Well, my dad, he worked at the tin mill at Elwood, and of course, they're originally from Wales. And then my granddad, he's buried at Elwood, and David Morgan was his name. And in fact, I was just up there not too long ago, just go by, just wanted to go by her, see, 'cause it's been a long time since I've been up there. But, and then my dad, like I said, worked at the tin mill, and then, I don't know how, he met my mom, and of course, she's from Frankton, and, so they moved down here. Well, that house where I was born up there on the Sigler Street, they were just renting that, I think, and somebody asked me, said, well, what room were you born in? And I said, well, I don't know.
Who was your best friend in school?
I had several girls.
I'm calling my boy.
Probably one time Dallas Hayes and me ran around together. He was the best man for our wedding.
Dallas was?
Yeah, and he lived down here on Maple Street, right across from the Christian church here, kind of cattywampus.
That was,
Harold.
well, you mentioned his name, but had fun, his
Harold
son.
Hayes, Harold Hayes, yeah.
Harold Hayes'
Yeah,
son.
Yeah, yeah. And,
He used to live where Daddy Hobbs lived, there on Maple. Is that where you're talking
yeah,
about?
Harold did,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
How many was in your class?
26,
26?
yeah. And I just had another pass away the other day. Dr. Joe Gayhammer passed away about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Ralph Holder, he lives out here, or lived on 28. He just died about 4 or 5 days ago. And so there's probably not too many left.
That picture, was that, basketball or baseball team that you just recently?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah.
That was the
Oh,
first
yeah.
baseball team
And
you were
as
on.
far as I know, that was 1947, and we had our pictures taken. Paul Davis, I don't know if I know him.
Oh, yeah.
Him and all of us, well, it was 1947. But I went back and checked, and Harold Trick was on there. The Tricks lived out on 128. And as far as I know, Harold and me are the only two living out of that baseball team. The rest of them are all passed away. Like Ginger Frank, and he was on it, and George Sprague, some of them.
Played basketball.
They,
You said you played basketball.
yeah, played basketball.
For the school?
Frankton,
On the
yes,
school
yeah,
team?
yeah.
What was your?
I was a guard.
A guard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which school did you go to? Did you go to the
old-
one that was torn down and
Yeah,
your whole
yeah,
school
yeah.
life there?
Yeah. Yeah, we used to slip in there. We wasn't allowed in the gyms on weekends, but we even went down to Cold Chute and everything else. Got in there, Mr. Lee, boy, somebody, he found out, and here he come. School ran us out.
Did you ever get a spanking from Mr. Lee?
No, never did get no spanking.
Never needed one.
He's always a good
I
kid.
was real nice.
What do they call it, what do they call it? A perfect model of a student, or?
Yeah, his picture was in the paper when he was like 3 years old, and it talked about what a sweet little chap he was, and yeah, I mean, I said they must not have had anything news to put in the paper.
I remember Bob when he was quite a bit younger than what I am now. Of course, I've known you have a lot of years.
Yeah.
And Irene.
Yeah. We just, in September, we won the Pride Award for Frankton. We was really tickled over that.
I never saw a garage floor that looked like yours. I'm telling you, you could eat off it.
Yeah.
Bob cleans that every day.
Yeah.
Now his hands and knees.
Yeah.
They lived in that house for 61 years?
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
1 year old
Yeah.
when we moved there. Or built
Now
that.
they just told how old you were.
Yeah.
When, I remember, I lived here till I was 4, but I remember with my mom that there was somebody that used to ride a bicycle all over town. Was that Bob Ludlow?
No.
No, that was at,
Pop Etchison.
Pop Etchison.
Pop
Oh,
Edge.
Etchison, okay.
In
I
fact,
just remember the
he
name
lived
Bob.
right up there where we live
Yeah.
now. He just lived around the corner. They just sold that, so I don't know who bought it.
We were just talking
Now.
about that.
No,
the
thanks,
other
something
day.
else found, or the foundation, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Was he the town marshal or not?
No.
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 I was scared to death of him as a kid.
Yeah.
Poor fella.
Well, what happened to him, he had
But Pop
tendencies as a
Etchison?
young man.
He would
Okay,
come
well,
down
this-
down the street.
He used to get up there on one
cussing and
28
they-
there on the
oh.
corner, but the
Hendricks?
Hendricks there,
Yeah,
and
I
direct
remember
traffic and everything else.
He do it up there on
Brother
9/128 too.
Rode a bicycle in town. 'cause my
It was
mom
Hendrix.
always
When it was
stopped in
Hendrix.
First name, his
When it-
first name was Henry, wasn't it?
Beg pardon?
Do you know when Hendrix
No, I
opened?
remember.
Like the,
I remember
Uh,
him. I
Probably
forgot about it until you just
in the
said that though.
50s, maybe.
was that a hangout when?
Yeah, they had good food there and everything.
Where was that?
Hendricks.
Hendricks.
Oh, Hendricks, yeah.
I didn't know.
That's
that.
gonna be supposed to be a donut place or something now.
Coffee
If
shop.
they ever get it
Coffee
open.
shop, if they ever get it open.
Yeah, well, Ed Braddock helped him build that.
Yeah,
They built that off the bricks
yeah,
from the canning factory when it burned.
yeah.
Wow.
I remember when they opened in the fifties, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Like
think it was in the
57
50s.
or, but they had roasted chicken. And that was a kind of a new way of fixing chicken, it was roasted. I'm not sure exactly what
I
that,
used to date a girl that used to work in there.
well, she did a really silly thing, she married you. Yeah, I used to carve off down there.
Where Hendricks?
Uh-huh.
What do you remember of like celebrations or town gatherings or festivals or holidays or anything like that?
I was overseas then when they had the one big deal here. They had a big parade and everything, had fireworks down here on the hill.
Yeah, I forget though.
That
I don't
was-
remember.
Was that the bicentennial?
Might have been.
It had to be back like 50.
Is that when everybody grew beards and stuff?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
bicentennial?
yeah. Harold had a nice beard, your dad.
Yes, the pictures,
Oh, yeah.
well, it's, well, I don't know.
On the other side of this wall.
I was gonna
It's
say,
in that
is
book you got, baby.
there one in here too, I thought?
I don't think so.
It was,
It's in that book you got right there.
yes,
Yeah.
Huth, what was his name, Mr. Huth,
Alvin Who.
Alvin, I think he had one, Jim Lamb had one,
Tom Hendricks,
who did?
Tom Hendricks had one.
What's his last name?
Tom.
Hendricks.
Hendricks,
Tom
Wayne's
Hendricks.
brother, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
Tom Hendricks.
I didn't realize Tom was that old in 53.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
53.
That's why I kept saying.
Maybe it
who?
wasn't, maybe it wasn't. I'm thinking of
Oh, you
the one
probably,
in there, yeah.
I bet you were thinking of, when the United
Bicentennial.
States, the
Yeah,
bicentennial.
the book there.
When this
So-
Yeah, that's got all of them. in
Was there a big
Your dad-
party
76.
for the centennial, Frankton Centennial? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
they had a big parade. They had, down at Raymond King, didn't they have their thing in there with like a casket thing or?
I
And
don't remember.
I saw the picture someplace, cause like I said, I wasn't here.
There was a log house up there by the high school on the other side of the street, catty corner from the football field, which is now covered with limestone or something.
Earl Painter's house.
Oh, yeah,
Painter's
yeah,
house.
Carl.
Now, I remember going there with my mom for something. What did he do?
He was a shoe cobbler.
Shoe.
Oh, a
Yeah.
shoe person, okay.
Yeah, shoe cobbler.
Yeah.
Back there in his back building behind the house.
Okay.
And he also worked at General Motors.
Yeah,
didn't
they
he?
went General Motors too.
Was the cobbler shop, is that the one that was a log cabin? Or-
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
log house.
Yeah,
Billy Painter lives there
Well-
now.
Actually,
Yeah,
the
right on
house
the
is
corner.
up here. There's a house, his house is in one of those pictures. I think. I have a picture of it anyway, whether it's up there or not. I think it is down there on the bottom row. Next to the last picture that. I think that's it.
Here's the shots from the Frankton
Yeah, that's
Centennial of
what I-
1953.
I have that book, I think.
Yes.
I have that.
Yes, because it was
Yeah.
published in 1976.
I got 30 of them.
Well, Tom Hendricks, he's in here with his beard in 76. I was gonna say, I didn't think he went back to 50,
Well, I
as far as being
couldn't
a.
remember what, I wasn't even here then.
Are there any ghost stories in Frankton?
What?
Any ghost stories? Have you
Ghost
heard any
stories?
ghost stories?
No,
Nothing happened in the funeral home, nothing creepy.
well, I was helping him in the funeral home, Raymond King and me, and he had me go around on the other side or something, and this guy's arm dropped down. And I was dead, and it kind of scared me, but
Was he dead?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
doornail.
said we was supposed to be dead, so I.
So where was Raymond King's funeral home then?
Right on the corner of that big house down right across from the beauty shop there. You know where the beauty shop is?
Where
down
Dr.
there?
Yeah.
Falker used to be.
They're on
across
the
from
corner.
her.
right
Oh, that,
straight across.
right that corner?
Yeah.
Across from where Doc Bishop used to be.
Okay.
One's got that big window right out on the,
Yeah.
right there.
They, I used to, when I was a little kid, we lived, at that time, we lived right across the street there where Doc Bishop used to be. There was a house, old house there, had a porch all around it. And I wasn't, like, say, I don't know how. Anyway, I'd climb over that porch and go over to King's. Because Raymond, he'd always take me down to the grocery store and buy me cheese and bologna. And anytime I go there, and of course, I was over there a lot with him, stayed with him. Yeah.
Still eats cheese and bologna to this day.
Yeah.
Feel like.
So you say there was a house where Dr. Bishop's house is now?
Yeah, there was a old house, we stayed there, I think that's when we moved from up in the East End, we moved down there, and then Doc Russell, there was Dr. Russell there, after we moved over across on the other corner. on the
Was
other
he a
street.
medical doctor?
Yes. And I'm trying to think, Doc Russell, I think Bishop came there after him, I believe. The first ones that lived there, and after the new house was built, was Herschel King. That was Raymond King's son. He taught school up here at Frankton. And they moved, I think, Montana or someplace.
So when do you think that brick home was built then? And just an estimate?
Had to either been the late 40s or early
Okay.
50s.
I thought it was older than that.
Do you remember Lily Sharp?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
She told a story one time to my mom. We were standing out and she was talking to us, and she had gone to Dr. Bishop's office. That's when she was in her 90s. And her daughter Pauline was with her. And of course Pauline was 70 then, so somebody was talking to Lily, and she had such a cute sense of humor. And somebody said to Lily, well, how old are you? And she said, well, I'm 90, whatever. And she says, well, how old is your daughter? And she says, she's 70. And she stopped for a minute. She says, my, they do grow up, don't they?
Yeah, my grandma was real good.
Were they?
Yeah.
She was a lovely person.
Yeah.
And I remember Mary being her next door.
Yeah, Mary.
And I remember Pauline Frank.
Yeah.
And,
She worked down to the lumberyard for,
yeah.
He owned it, didn't he?
no, John Franco.
John?
And there was somebody that lived up the hill on 4th Street. Can't remember who that is though.
Used to, at one time, I could go down Walnut Street and tell you who lived in every house.
Every house.
Yeah.
And Sigler Street, back then,
Well,
there
you knew
wasn't that many
everybody.
people. You knowed everybody. Like then you didn't go beside somebody come ask you where somebody lives, said, well, we're down there at so-and-so's and turn right there in that second house.
Yeah.
There's no street numbers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to figure out if it has to do with age or just a change of life, but as a kid, I could tell you who lived in every house up all the major streets here in
Yeah.
town. I can tell you that today who lived, today, well, no, let me back up. I could tell you today who lived in them back in the fifties and
Yeah.
sixties,
Yeah.
is what I meant.
Yeah.
Today, I don't have any idea. And anymore, I almost feel like a stranger in my own hometown.
Yeah.
I go to Dollar General, I don't know people.
Yes.
I go to Harvest, I don't know people. So is that an age thing?
Most people
Or-
in them houses when you was growing up are all gone.
Yeah,
I-
yeah,
That's why, yeah.
They're not, none of them left.
yeah.
But why is it you don't know who's replaced them? I can't figure it out.
Because they're too busy.
I
People
think-
don't socialize now.
Yeah.
I think that must be it.
You don't have kids in school anymore.
Yes,
They're
that
not
makes
sitting,
sense.
they're not sitting on their front porch.
They don't socialize like they used to.
No.
Times are much faster and people just don't have
And
time.
too many houses got a front porch anymore.
I know.
That's the reason I got my garage fixed up. I used, people go by, motion them on in, come on in. They don't go.
You don't take your shoes off, do you?
No.
Well, I have often thought it does have something to do with a lot of the people you knew, they have passed on. And I do think that makes a difference, you know, and then all of a sudden you kind of realize, uh-oh, I'm kind of down the conveyor belt, you know, you.
Well, that's the other thing, because there used to be bigger families. So there was like more brothers and sisters, and those brothers and sisters had friends, and they had friends, and the other guy had friends, and so you had a lot of people running in and around, you know, that you knew, and then you knew all their parents, and it was always
I'm trying to
all different
think.
ways to connect.
What, Richardson, was it, lived up on the corner of the
Yeah.
fire barn?
That was my dad,
That was your dad?
Gene, that was killed,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, I remember, but
My mother was Miriam, Lola Miriam, they called her Tiny.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
but Aunt Phyllis, you said you remembered Phyllis and June and them.
Yeah.
And Phyllis, I brought Phyllis, drove her through town, and she did what you could. She says, so-and-so lived there, so-and-so lived there, so-and-so, all the way down Sailor Street around. And then she said, well, let's go up around here. And so I didn't write all the names down. I wish I had them.
June, she was in the waves.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
They always used to say, you better be good because everybody knows everybody, and if you're bad, your mom and dad will know it before you get home.
Yeah.
A lot of truth in that. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen now.
No, rarely.
I know the other day, Heritage Days, I think, weren't we in the golf cart? I thought it was on the shuttle. Was it on the, I think we were on the golf cart. No, we were on, it would have had to have been the shuttle. I believe we came out from down there, and we were all sitting there, and I heard this big, just this big bam, and I thought it hit the shuttle. And,
No,
but
we
there,
on the golf cart.
well, okay, there was a kid down there throwing big rocks at the street sign, at the stop, there across from Heritage.
My word.
Well, I looked at him and I went, don't do that. Well, I didn't hear it, but my daughter said, oh, Mom, his mom was there and said, he was just throwing at the street sign. He was, if I'd have heard her, I would have said, look, that could have bounced off and gotten us. I didn't hear her say that. But you know, I think used to, parents would have never allowed that. You know, if your kid was on rock at
No
the
way.
street sign and there's all these people, for heaven's sake.
If we'd have done that, we'd have had the worst of rocks blown out.
That's
when we got home.
exactly. But no, I guess she was didn't
Say
think
too
they-
much now, they take the gun out, shoot you.
Yeah.
Hold the stud and talk anything out, they just
Yeah.
shoot you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming. That's about 50 minutes, so thank you for sharing.
Actually, I didn't think I could talk that long.
We're pretty easy to
Well, I
talk
told
to.
you